This episode is sponsored by the Entourage's Entrepreneurs Marketing and Sales Summit, our free digital event that has gathered the biggest names in business to teach you how to build a marketing and sales engine that works without you. Secure your free seat today at www.the-entourage.com/event.
As brand founders, the world doesn't stop when we're in grief. The world doesn't stop when we're in trauma or experiencing heartbreak. If you've got your own business, you can't call in sick to the boss if you are the boss. I know the word authenticity is so overused. It's definitely overused in branding. I know it's overused in entrepreneurship. But when we're operating from an authentic place, that is truly when we find the markets that are right for us.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the Make It Happen show, where it's time for you to make it happen. In these implementation sessions, we're joined by an industry expert who will take you through in detail how to make it happen in your business. These are full of implementable actions, so get your pens ready, take notes, and be ready to apply these to your business. Let's get into it.
I have been fangirling backstage big time with the next speaker. She is unbelievable. She has such an amazing story to share with us. So I'm going to introduce you guys to the amazing Samantha Wills. All right, so guys, ladies, gents, everyone, we are going to welcome Samantha Wills to the stage with a big round of applause. Samantha!
Thank you so much. Hi, guys. Thank you for that lovely warm welcome. It's an absolute treat to be here in person with you guys today, and hello to everyone streaming at home. So my name is Samantha Wills. When I was 21 years old, I started an accessories brand on my dining table, and I ever so modestly named that brand Samantha Wills. Some of you probably know a little bits about that journey today, but I'm going to touch on some points that hopefully some takeaways that help you with your businesses. So just to make sure everyone's on the same page, I'm just going to go through a very quick highlight reel. In 2.5 minutes, I'm going to show you the last 15 years of the business. So in 2004, I was selling my jewellery down at Bondi Beach markets, and a friend offered me a showroom wall at Australian Fashion Week, and the spot was going to be about $500, and it was going to be about the size of a door. I had $509 in my bank account at the time, so I was like, this is a great idea. I took the spot hoping to make one order back and cover the costs of the stall and maybe make some, PR or marketing for my little market table at Bondi Beach. I ended up writing $17,000 worth of orders at the 4-day trade show, and I quit my real job the next day and threw everything I had at building an accessories brand. In 2006, I did my first standalone show at Australian Fashion Week, and in 2007, I brought in a business partner by the name of In 2008, Eva Mendes wore our Bohemian Bardot ring, and in 2009, David Jones rolled out Samantha Wills concept areas throughout their stores nationally. In 2010, we had product appear in Sex and the City too. It was also the same year that I moved to New York City to start building our brand in an international market. In 2011, the New York Times named us as a breakout star of the year. And in 2013, I did my first show at New York Fashion Week. In 2014, we launched Samantha Wills Bridal. Now, Samantha Wills Bridal in its second season very quickly made up 48% of our annual revenue. And it was also the same year we signed our first licensing deal for Samantha Wills Eyewear. In 2015, Yellow Glen named me as the ambassador and creative director for the house. And in 2016, I appeared in a billboard, print and TVC campaign alongside Mark Wahlberg. 2016 was also the year that I launched the Samantha Wills Foundation, which is a platform designed to empower women in business. By 2017, we had signed our biggest retail deal to date. It was also the same year that I realised I had done 100 flights between JFK and Sydney, and I realised that I was starting to get creatively and physically a little bit fatigued. In 2018, in the August of 2018, I made the decision to close the business, not to sell it, but to close it. And we made that announcement in August 2018. And on January 11th, 2019, we closed Samantha Wills Jewellery for good. So obviously that's the highlight reel. It's very, very sparkling, but we know as business founders that it is so much more than the highlight reel, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. In 2010, I made, without a doubt, the biggest business mistake of my life. As brand builders, as brand founders, we can have every ideal that we want our brand to sit in a certain part of the market, right? We can be like, we want to be in all the best department stores, we want to be in all the best media. But at the end of the day, it is the consumer who tells us where our brand sits. And it's up to us if we listen to them or not and embrace that. So around 2010, as I said, I moved to New York and was setting up the brand in an international market. And we had very much found our success in Australia at this time with a tier 2 consumer. Now, when I say tier 2 consumer, I'm a tier 2 consumer, and a tier 2 consumer is very much brand loyal. A tier 1 consumer is very trend loyal. So they both have a place in the whole society, but a tier 1 consumer will jump from trend to trend, whereas the brand loyal person season after season is like, that's my brand, that's who I connect with, that's my community, I'm sticking with this brand. So we'd found our success with this tier 2 consumer, and our aesthetic and our entire authenticity was about this bohemian brand. It was a bohemian relative costume jewellery brand, and we owned the market share in Australia with that. It was very much about big statement stones. Turquoise was a brilliant seller for us. Burnished metals. It was very much the styling of more is more is more. And so I moved to New York and very, very quickly become romanced with everything that is New York City. I go out and I'm doing market research in all the most beautiful stores, and I'm standing there in Barney's, which is very much a tier 1 designer store in New York. And I remember standing there and looking around, and there was nothing in the cabinets like what we were doing. It was all very minimal, it was polished metals, it was very petite, there was no turquoise, no colour at all. I remember standing in Barney's, and to the right of me was my imposter syndrome, and to the left of me was my ego. I remember looking around, and my ego kind of leans over and is like, well, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to be in a tier 1 store. And I kind of was like, yeah, it would. Then my imposter syndrome leans over and is like, well, if you were a real designer, you're not even a real designer, but if you were a real designer, you'd be designing, product that looked more like this. My intuition was like, don't listen to them. You've found success with your authenticity. Stay in your lane. Stay with what you're good at. And so I went home that evening and I was on deadline to design our new collection. And in one collection, I stripped all the colour, all the life, and all the relativity out of our design language. I turned it on its head in one season. I was like, we're not doing turquoise anymore, guys. We're not even using the word bohemian. We're not doing any statement stones. Everything we do is going to be polished metals this season. It's petite, it's minimal. And then I took to our brand bio. I was like, well, no one even knows where Bondi Markets is in New York, so scrap that. Let's definitely don't use the word bohemian in our brand bio. And so I took every ounce of relativity out of the brand. By the time this collection hit stores, needless to say, it did not work. Our consumer had nothing to connect to, and their spending habits then reflected that. The retailers had come off the back of such successful seasons with our brand that they bought in huge on this collection and then were left with a heap of stock that didn't sell. And then my team had lost faith in me because I was a creative director who wasn't directing. I was trying to be something I wasn't, and I was trying to make the brand be something it wasn't.
Hi everyone, Andrew Borello here, Head of Business Development at The Entourage. Just wanted to jump in and say, if you're really enjoying this episode of the Make It Happen show, we think you'll love learning more top marketing and sales strategies from Australia's leading entrepreneurs and industry experts at our upcoming free digital event, the Entrepreneurs Marketing and Sales Summit, featuring the likes of Gabby Leibovich from Catch of the Day, Jess Hatsis from Frank Body, Tony Nash from Booktopia, Justine Flynn from Thank You, and our very own founder, Jack Delosa too. This free event is one not to be missed if you're looking for business growth to take you and your business to the next level and ensure that you end the year strong. As it's a free event, seats are limited, so secure your free seat today now at www.the-entourage.com/event. Now let's get back into the show.
So I had to sit in the destruction of this mistake that I'd made. I had to sit there in the rubble, and I had to go back to the girl at Bondi Markets and I'd be like, why did we start this brand in the first place? I had to collect up all the things that honoured our origins, honoured where we had come from, and needed to evolve the brand forward while still honouring all of that. The consumer got behind us, and I spent the next 18 months to 2 years with every opportunity I had sitting in conversation with her, trying to gain back her trust. And I think I share this story because I know the word authenticity is so overused. It's definitely overused in branding. I know it's overused in entrepreneurship. But when we're operating from an authentic place, that is truly when we find the markets that are right for us. That is when we sell the brands and the product that we're meant to be selling. That is when we find the careers and opportunities that are meant for us. Because if we're operating for something that's inauthentic, we're trying to attract things that in truth were never meant for us anyway, right? And I guarantee you, if you do something inauthentic and you find a bit of success with it, you find this crack in the window that you can slip through, it's not sustainable, because anything that is built not on authenticity has no foundation and it has no roots of origin. So I hope that you can hear that word without thinking it's been so overused, but authenticity, stick to your brand, stick to your values. That's when you find the market that is meant for you. Not trying to twist your brand into something that's not to suit a market that was never meant for us anyway. In 2015, my career was on a dream run. I was kind of stepping out of the shadows of being just a jewellery designer, and I was getting a lot of opportunities that were very public and very forward-facing. I was travelling a lot. The brand was on a dream run. And there was a lot going on, and it was a bit like a Jenga tower. It's like there's all these different pieces and there's so much going on, but they're all holding each other up. And the precarious thing, though, with a Jenga tower is that when one piece moves, the whole tower comes crashing down. And for me at this time, that piece that moved was finding out that my partner of 3 years was cheating on me. And very quickly, my world went really, really dark. Now, in the weeks, probably the week after finding out, I couldn't even put a sentence together. I could barely get out of bed. My friends would come over and kind of pull me out of bed just long enough to change the sheets, and I'd crawl back in. And I was not coping at all. I was really, really, really struggling. In the 2 weeks that followed, I had to fly back to Australia because I had some really big, really public commitments that I was contracted to do. So I flew back to Australia and I shot this campaign and these 2 magazine covers. And what I would do is I would set my alarm for 90 minutes before I actually had to be up, so that I knew that I had 90 minutes to fall apart. I tried to cry all the tears out that I could so that I could show up and try and do my job. So I'd show up on set and I would excuse myself when I needed to, and I'd run to the bathroom, burst into tears, come back, apologise to the hair and makeup artist, and try and keep going. And I share this with you because as brand founders, the world doesn't stop when we're in grief. The world doesn't stop when we're in trauma or experiencing heartbreak. If you've got your own business, you can't call in sick to the boss if you are the boss. And it was around this time that I knew I felt like it was just in a pool of darkness. When you're a little kid and you want to jump into the deep end of the pool and you take a deep breath and you jump in, like, I'm going to touch the bottom, and you kind of get halfway, you're like, oh no, it's too dark, it's too deep down there. You come back up to the top. So you take another deep breath, you go, I'm going to try again. You get a little bit further, you're like, oh no, it's too far down, it's too scary. That's how I felt at this time. It was like in a pool of darkness, and I knew that I had to get to the bottom of that pool and touch the bottom, because I couldn't move forward until I had done that. It's one of my favourite quotes by Cleo Wade. The best and the worst thing about the truth is that it gets instant results. Do not let fear of what it will reveal keep you from it. And I knew I wasn't touching the bottom because I knew there was stuff down there I probably didn't want to know, but I needed to know to move forward. And so I sat down in front of my partner and I said, how long has this affair been going on? And he looked at me and he said, well, which one? And I said, well, how many have there been? And he said, at least 8. And as abhorrent and as shitty as that behaviour is, it was in my reply to him at the time that realised in hindsight, I realised why I was in this darkness. And I share this because throughout my career to that point and to date, I have been 1,000% about women's empowerment. I've been about women's voice. I've been about championing. It's in my DNA to champion that. But at the core of empowerment is self-esteem, self-worth, right? So professionally, my self-worth was up here. But I turned to him and I said, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. My personal self-worth was down here. And what happens when we go through these dark times and we touch the bottom of those floors is that we shed what we no longer need. We don't know what's coming up on our path, but we shed what we no longer need down there. And it's when we can start to rise to the top. That's the alchemy of the human spirit, yeah? So the alchemy for me was the Samantha Wills Foundation. This is what was coming up on my path, and this is a huge focus of mine today. And this is what I launched in the alchemy of that. And I share that story because there might be someone in the audience who's going through a really rough time. It might feel a bit dark to you. But I say at any point in this journey, and there will be dark times, I say, Spend as much time as you need to in that darkness, but not a moment more. Touch the bottom when you can, but do not stay down there for a moment more than you need to. So this was my alchemy, was the Samantha Wills Foundation. By 2018, I'd probably after that breakup, I could feel something in me had changed. The flicker of light that I once had for jewellery design was starting to dim. By this point, I'd designed about 13,000 pieces of jewellery. So it wasn't an uncommon feeling to me. It was, it's a creative block. It'll pass. 6 months in, it dimmed a little bit more. Another 6 months in, and it dimmed a little bit more. And for any creative person in the room, when that light starts to dim, it's a really scary feeling because that's your lifeblood. That's our energy. That's why we get up in the morning. And so by 2018, I was like, I need to get this passion back. Like, I was in such dire straits of like, this is the rest of my life. I'm going to feel empty for the rest of my life. And at the time I thought, I've named this brand after myself. It's in growth. It's a highly profitable business. Like, this is my lot in life. This is what I signed up for. And so I made the decision to go up. This is a campus map of Omega, which is a holistic retreat in upstate New York. And I was like, I just need to go and get my shit together. This seemed like a great place to do that. And my business partner and I, he's very much left brain, very logistics and analytical. But he and I would send emails to each other once a quarter that were observational emails. I'm at the dining hall and I was like, he was sending his email through. I'll download it on my walk back to the cabin. So I start walking out of the dining hall and got some reception. And then my business partner, Jeff Bainbridge, sends me an email with the title, "The Business is at a Crossroads." And essentially what his email was saying was, hey, I know you're going through a rough time. You've been in this business a long time. We are here to support whatever you want to do. But the business is at a crossroads and we need to make a decision. So I'm reading the email. I look up to keep walking, and here's exactly where I'm standing at this crossroads on campus. And in that moment, I look back down at my phone and I put my hand on my heart, and I felt the calmest feeling I've ever felt in my life, and it was, it's time to close. I pretty much felt a voice say, it's time to close, and I looked around and I was like, I didn't even know that was an option. I was like, it's time to close. This was not a decision that just affected me. This affected a huge team of people. And so I was kind of like, all right, I'm just going to keep this to myself for 2 weeks. And what I did was I woke up every morning pretending that I'd already implemented the decision. So I woke up every morning and I was like, you don't have a company today. How does that feel? I didn't ask myself what I thought about it, because if I had to run it through the thinking filter, there was no logic to what I was doing. But I can tell you with every ounce that it felt through every cell in my body like the right thing to do. And I know that doesn't sound very businessy, but when we think about the thinking filter versus the feeling filter, you can't fake a feeling, right? You can talk yourself in and out of anything, but you cannot fake a feeling down here. So today, I hope that I can leave you with these quick takeaways. Surround yourself with people who are good at the things you are not. Surrender your specific idea of success. And what I mean by that is, I think throughout my career, for so much of it, I was like, that's the one point we're going to, that's the success point. And I held on so tightly to it that I really didn't see a lot of the time that these incredible opportunities that were probably even better than what I was aiming for were unfolding around me. So release that a little bit, know which direction you're going, but take the time to look around. Community, talk with them, not to them. That is such a powerful lesson for me. Authenticity, if it's not authentic, it's not sustainable. And think versus feel, they're very, very different filters. And I really encourage you to go more so here in business decision making. And I think, that's a very literal crossroads that I was standing at. But we're at a crossroads every day, be it personally, be it professionally. And we have this decision. So the decision of fear, our ego mind wants us to stay in the familiar. That's what it thrives on. So a fear-based decision sounds like, I'm not really inspired by my job, but I guess it's a paycheck. In business, it might sound like this is we do things this way because this is how we've always done them. That's a fear-based decision. The leap of faith is, stepping that little bit into the unknown and listening to this, because this is always trying to guide us. That's the leap of faith. And I hope that next time we look at a highlight reel, we think of this, because this is the truth and the chaos and the beauty of our entrepreneur's journey. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Make It Happen show. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And it doesn't need to end there. We've actually gone and grabbed a whole bunch of extra resources for you. Behind the scenes footage, videos from this and all the other episodes, as well as show notes that you can grab for free. Just head along to www.the-entourage.com/ podcast, and you can grab all those extra resources. Thanks for tuning in, and I cannot wait to introduce you to our next guest on the next episode.